Hello everyone, welcome to Robaroo with Delhi 6 with me Rahul. I would be your guide and photographer on this heritage walk today. During our 2 hours long walking tour, we would visit some of the most significant and some forgotten historic buildings, which speaks volume about the fascinating history of Old Delhi and stand as a testimony to its rich culture, architecture and heritage. We would commence our walk opposite Red Fort, which was built by the Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan in the 17th century. Our trail would start from the Gambajan Temple, which houses one of the biggest and oldest bird hospitals in Delhi. Next to it is Gauri Shankar Mandir, established by the Marathas in 18th century. We would then visit the Seesganj Gurdwara and the Fountain Chowk, after which the area was named Chandni Chowk. We would later walk through the buzzing market lanes of Chandni Chowk, witnessing one of the biggest and dazzling wedding regalia market at Kinari Bazaar, Khari Bauli, the wholesale spice market, and the jewelers market at Dariba Kalan. As we came out of Dariba Kalan towards Chandni Chowk main road, we shall see one of the oldest and most famous jalebi wala shops selling hot jalebis, a prominent Indian sweet. From here, we would walk along the narrow, winding alleyways of Balli Maran, which houses Ghalib Ki Haveli, the mansion of the noted Urdu and Persian poet Mirza Ghalib, and one other popular Haveli, which is considered to one of the oldest Havelis of Old Delhi. We would also see the palace of Begum Samru, which is now popularly known as Bhagirat Palace. It is one of the largest electrical goods market in North India. Our tour would end at Jama Masjid, one of the biggest mosques in the world, with the capacity to hold up to 25,000 worshippers. So, are you ready to explore and experience the oldest and the most colorful part of Delhi with all your senses? Wonderful. Before we begin our walk in Chandni Chowk, let's learn a little about Old Delhi's intriguing history and about the Red Fort, the massive building that proudly overlooks Old Delhi. Old Delhi, Purani Delhi of Shah Jahanabad, meaning abode of Shah Jahan, was set up by Shah Jahan, the Mughal emperor, in the year 1647 with the concept of medieval city layout. It was Jahanara, Shah Jahan's eldest daughter, who laid the foundation of the city around 1639. It is believed that the city originated when the fort at Agra faced agonizing heat, narrow lanes, lack of clean drinking water, and spread of various epidemic diseases were the reasons Emperor Shah Jahan decided to choose this site to establish the new Mughal capital after consulting the Hindu astrologers and Muslim hakims. Shah Jahanabad was a fortified city with rubble wall, bastions, and gates at regular intervals. Some of its gates and parts of the wall still stand. It was secured and enclosed by about 10-kilometer long wall. 10 gates connected the city with the surrounding region, while Lahore Gate was the main entrance of the Red Fort besides Delhi Gate. The Kashmiri Gate, Calcutta Gate, Mori Gate, Kabul Gate, Firish Khana Gate, Ajmeri Gate, and the Turkoman Gate were the major links of the city with the connecting areas. Along with the construction of Shah Jahanabad, Shah Jahan laid the foundation of his palace, the Red Fort. It took nearly a decade to complete this massive walled citadel, which is now a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Red Fort was the seat of Mughal Empire for around 200 years until it fell into the British hands. The last Mughal emperor, Bahadur Shah Zafar, was coronated here in 1837, who was later deposed in 1858 by the British East India Company and exiled to Burma following the War of 1857 after the fall of Delhi to the company troops. His death marks the end of Mughal dynasty. If you would like to learn more about Bahadur Shah Zafar and the fall of Mughal dynasty, then I would heavily recommend you to read the book The Last Mughal by the British historian and travel writer William Dalrymple. Let me share some really interesting nuggets of information associated with Red Fort, which are not commonly known. Red is not the original color of the fort. According to the Archaeological Survey of India, part of the fort was made of limestone. When the white stone started chipping off, it was painted red by the British. Do you know the connection between the Red Fort and the famous dam in Kohinoor? Apparently, it was studied in the Emperor Shah Jahan's royal seat along with innumerable precious stones like rubies, emeralds, pearls, and diamonds, which stood in the Diwan-e Khas here in the Red Fort. The throne, along with the diamonds, was stolen by the Persian king Nadir Shah. While the throne has been lost ever since, Kohinoor, after passing through several hands, became part of England's royal crown jewels collection. If the story of Kohinoor intrigues you, then I would definitely recommend you to read the book Kohinoor by William Dalrymple and Anita Anand that traces the journey of the infamous diamond. We now head to the main street Chandni Chowk, which runs from the Red Fort to Fatehpuri Masjid. Originally a canal ran through the middle of the street. Chandni Chowk, meaning Moonlight Square in English, is one of the oldest and busiest markets in Old Delhi. It was built in the 17th century by Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan and designed by his favorite daughter Jahanara. Some folklore says that Shah Jahan had built Chandni Chowk so that Jahanara could buy whatever she wanted. So, how did Chandni Chowk got its name? While a legend says that Chandni Chowk was named after its silversmiths, silver which means Chandi in Hindi, another story goes that the new complex and the pool in the center of the square reflected the moonlight in the pool that flowed through the avenue in the canal. As a result, it acquired the name Chandni Chowk. The reflecting pool and the old shops have now been replaced by the numerous shops selling all sorts of stuff from ready-made clothing to decorative items, electronics and food. Chandni Chowk has many lanes and each of these lanes represents a speciality of this market which we would see while walking through these lanes. For example, Paranthe Wali Gali, which is famous for its paranthas. Similarly, the area also have many markets that specialize in a particular item such as jewelry, textiles, spices, etc. We would explore these markets later in our tour. Chandni Chowk is home to a Jain temple, a church, and a Gurdwara, and many Hindu temples and mosques, which represents that all religion coexist here in a perfect harmony. We are now standing in front of the Jain Digambar temple, which is the oldest and the best known Jain temples in Delhi, built in 1658. The temple is also known as Lal Mandir due to its impressive red color structure made of sandstone. The temple is dedicated to Lord Parshvanath Swami and Mahavir Swami, who was a prince born in 599 BC in the Vaishali city, which is also known as Bihar today. The interior of the temple are adorned with elaborate wooden carvings and beautiful paintings. Lal Mandir is known for a mysterious tale. Once the Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb ordered the temple people to stop playing the musical instruments as the sound disturbed him a lot. However, the emperor could still hear the instrument playing, so he asked his servants to check who told him that the instruments were playing by themselves, and until today, the mystery has not been solved. You have must have visited the hospitals for cats and dogs. Have you ever heard about a fully equipped bird hospital? Following the doctrine of preserving all life, the temple premises house the famous bird hospital, which is the only institution in the world that treats about 15,000 birds a year for free, run under the Prachin Shri Agrawal Digambar Jain Panchayat. This is the oldest institution catering exclusively to birds of various species in the city. Only vegetarian birds are admitted, even though the predators are treated as outpatients. The hospital has wards, operation tables, and also amenities like coolers in summers and radiators in winters. Once cured, the birds are set free, and those who are permanently disabled are provided lifelong shelter at the hospital. Next to the Jain Digambar temple, you can see the 800-year-old Gauri Shankar temple dedicated to the Lord Shiva and his consort, goddess Parvati. The temple houses an 800-year-old lingam encased in a marble representation of a female organ and is surrounded by snakes made of silver. The lingam represents the center of the universe. There is a silver vessel above it from which tiny droplets of water continuously fall on the lingam. Going by history, the temple was constructed by Appa Gangadhar, a Maratha soldier who was a big devotee of Lord Shiva. He was once severely injured in a battle, and the chances of his survival were bleak. So he prayed to Lord Shiva to save his life and promised to build a temple dedicated to the god if he survived. He miraculously survived and built the temple. His name is inscribed in Hindi near the main entrance of the temple. Our next stop is State Bank of India building, which is the oldest branch of SBI. The 80 feet high, four-story colonial building was set up in 1806. It was declared a heritage building in the year 2002, after which its restoration work started. The building houses a tiny museum which serves as testimony to its forgotten history. The building was built over an estate of a dancing girl, Begum Samru, who married a mercenary soldier, Walter Sombre of Luxembourg. She was a very influential woman in the 18th century, and if rumors to be believed, she possessed occult powers. Her palace still exists and is the part of Bhagirath Palace, which is one of the largest electronic markets in Asia. We would now explore some of the most popular market areas in Chandni Chowk. On the left side of the main Chandni Chowk street are the shops which are known for bridal shopping. During the wedding season, people come from all corners of North India to shop here. We now pass through the Liva Kalan, the famous jewelry lane. It is full of shops selling gorgeous silver jewelry that cost you 20 to 25% less than what you would find in any other market. So, if you love silver jewelry, this is the place to shop for it. Just at the corner of the lane, you see this tiny shop called Old Famous Jalebi Wala. It is one of the most famous jalebi shops in India. Your trip to Old Delhi is incomplete without gorging into some piping hot jalebis here. Jalebi is an Indian sweet made of a coil of batter fried in clarified butter and soaked in sugar syrup. A little history about this shop is that it was opened by Kailash Chand Jain some 80 years ago when he migrated from a village in Agra in 1905. He started this shop here at the corner of Dariba Kalan and he experimented with many recipes before he selected the one that was the most satisfying. The recipe is kept as secret with the members of the family and only the senior most member has the right to own it. One of the most unique things about them is that they cook these irresistible jalebis on coal fire instead of a gas burner, perhaps that make it taste so delicious. We now stand in front of Gurdwara Sisganj, which is one of the oldest Gurdwaras in Delhi. Constructed in 17th century, it was here the ninth Sikh Guru Tegh Bahadur was beheaded in 1675 on the order of Aurangzeb, the son of Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan, for refusing to convert to Islam. Before the body could be made available for the public view, it was stolen by one of his disciples who burnt his house to cremate his guru's body. The present Gurdwara structure was constructed in 1930. The trunk of the tree under which the Guru was beheaded is still preserved here. Also adjoining the Gurdwara is the Kotwali, which is Kotwali means police station in English, where he had his disciples were imprisoned and tortured. We are now headed to Nogara, which means nine houses, while passing through the famous Paranthe Gully. Nogara houses nine colorful Jain Havelis from the 18th century. The entrance facades, as you can see, are beautifully detailed and elaborately painted in an array of hues. Nogara is like an oasis of tranquility amidst the chaotic Chandni Chowk. At the end of the Kucha Nogara is a Shwetambar Jain temple, which is believed by the locals to be more than 250-year old. We exit Nogara through Kinari Bazaar and Moti Bazaar and walk out into Chandni Chowk. Passing through winding narrow lanes, we now stand in front of Mirza Ghalib ki Haveli, which was the residence of Mirza Asadullah Khan, a noted Urdu and Persian poet who would write ghazals poetry under pen names Ghalib and Asad. He was one of the eminent poets of British India. He has a very tragic life, which is reflected in the melancholic poems and songs. Ghalib lived in this Haveli for a long period of his life before the government acquired a part of it and converted it into a museum exhibiting his possessions. It housed shops inside it and was used as a wedding hall and a coal store. The walls of the museums are adorned with a huge portrait and his couplets hang on the side walls. As we head towards the Fatehpuri Masjid, we will pass through the several important markets such as the spice market at Khari Baoli, Asia's biggest spice market, and then Lal Kuha, built in red stone and surmounted by a single dome. It was constructed in 1650 by Fatehpuri Begum, who was one of the many wives of the Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan. It is still used as a place of worship by the Muslims. After the revolt of 1857, the British had given it away to a wealthy merchant, Rai Lala Chunamal, in an auction. However, however it was later handed over to the local Muslims in 1857 by the British government when they were allowed back in Old Delhi. We now walk through Katranil, one of the most famous textile markets in Delhi, to visit probably one of the best preserved Havelis in Old Delhi. It's still inhabited by the descendants of Lala Chunamal, spread over an area of an acre. This Grand Haveli was built in 1848 with a total of 128 rooms across three floors. It was later renovated in 1864, which is inscribed on one of the walls of the Haveli. The interiors are lavishly decorated with huge Belgian mirrors, elaborate paintings, and handmade chandeliers. Our last stop of our walking tour is Jama Masjid, which is the largest in India and one of the biggest mosques in Asia. This magnificent building was constructed in the 17th century and it is the last architectural work of the Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan. It took about 12 years and 5,000 workers to build it and the cost of nearly a million rupees. Jama Masjid, meaning Friday Mosque, was originally called Masjid-e Jahan Numa, meaning mosque commanding the view of the world. Indeed, it offers the breathtaking view of the Delhi from its high minarets. The mosque was inaugurated by an imam from Bukhara, the present-day Uzbekistan. So big is the courtyard and the entire structure of the mosque that it can accommodate around 25,000 people at once. With this, the Old Delhi Heritage Tour concludes. I hope you enjoyed delving into the history, culture, and heritage of Old Delhi. Thank you.